I have had many conversations, as you have had, with a lot of young people over the last many months now. And you're right, they don't know very much at all about the history of the Middle East, or frankly about history in many areas of the world, including in our own country. But with respect to the Middle East, they don't know that under the bringing together of the Israelis and the Palestinians by my husband, the then Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, the then head of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, then the Palestinian Authority, Yasir Arafat. An offer was made to the Palestinians for a state on 96% of the existing territory occupied by the Palestinians, with 4% of Israel to be given to reach 100% of the amount of territory that was hoped for. And this offer was made, and if Yasir Arafat had accepted it, there would have been a Palestinian state now for about 24 years.
I will just never for the life of me understand why she lost in 2016. Just a very natural politician, knows how to communicate to people who she disagrees with, draws them in. What the hell was that, Hillary Clinton? These kids who you disagree with, and that's fine. You can disagree with them. They're very passionate. They theoretically could support your party. They don't know nothing about Middle Eastern history. And you know what? They don't know anything about our history too. They're just stupid kids. That's what they are. How are you a politician? I hate it. Now look, I understand that she is sensitive about the protesters because it's not just a general thing for her. Apparently, students walked out of her class in November to protest what they saw as the school's role in publicly shaming students who had signed on to the statement saying that the Israeli government bore responsibility for the war, which seems like the most obvious thing in the world. They're literally the ones persecuting it. Yeah, so people were not happy with her, and they're certainly not happy with the statement for two different reasons, and I want to get into both. One has to do with how she portrayed the peace process in the 90s. Now, like most college campus protesters, I'm not an expert on Middle Eastern history, but those who are, like Osama Khalil, a professor of history and Middle East expert at Syracuse University, said, for Clinton to say this is really disingenuous. He noted that in the lead up to the summit at Camp David in 2000, where the negotiations ultimately faltered, Mr. Arafat had warned former President Bill Clinton that, quote, the two sides were not ready to lay blame squarely on the Palestinians was unfair, he added, noting that there had been other missed opportunities for a solution. Quote, diplomacy is not a one-time mattress sale. And again, maybe Professor Khalil is right about that. Maybe Hillary Clinton is right about that. I don't know, I'm not an expert, but I will also say, I don't think you need to be an expert on Middle Eastern history to have a problem with the massive loss of civilian life and to want to see that stop. And if you're a politician disagreeing with those people, you could try to understand that and perhaps come up with a way to craft your argument that actually appeals to those people. Because you're pitching them as being stupid when they believe, and I would present them as being principled. And so perhaps to wash the taste of that last video out of your mouth, just take a look at this. It's a student during a graduation ceremony at UIC. Take a look at this.
I urge you all to acknowledge the class of 2024 of Gaza. That no longer exists. Students that will not be walking their stage this year, and 14,000 children who will never walk a stage ever again. Celebration without acknowledgement would be an injustice on behalf of my people.
That was beautiful and compassionate and understanding, and telling her and those who agree with her that they are too stupid to weigh in on this is bad politics at the very least. Brett, what do you think?
Yeah, that's what it is, because Hillary's not wrong. The Livia Albeck-Ribka quote you said is itself wildly disingenuous. If that still doesn't discount the fact that Arafat was the one who said no. He said, I was gonna say no, and then he said no. That doesn't change Hillary's comment that they said no to an offer of statehood. That's weird. He's speaking for the other side, but did the other side say no? There's no lie to what Hillary Clinton's saying. She's just the worst politician on the planet. She proves exactly what's wrong with the ivory tower liberal concept of someone who doesn't realize that there are ways to talk to people that just ain't that, my friend. Most people don't know anything about Middle East history. Most people, when they learn about it, they realize, oh my God, this is so stupid. So I'm going to pick a side and a start date. The thing that was like Israeli government bore the responsibility for the war. Like, okay, back up. This is where I get like back up. They bear responsibility for the continuing war that results in the thing that everyone can be against. Everybody should be able to be against continuing the war. They need to be against like it just, I've said this since like day 6. Bibi, you can't keep winning this way. It is the dumbest, worst, most counterproductive concept. And that's me stripping the humanity of it out. For your own purposes, just abscond to a place with no extradition treaty. Please do it now. Like for your own benefit and for the benefit of everyone. Like,
I don't think he's gonna do that.
That's the thing that's so frustrating to me. It's like everybody just focus on how horrible it is now. Hillary, focus on how horrible it is now. Your people are gonna start liking you again. But I think what's buried in the mind of a lot of the people who look the way that Hillary and Bill Clinton did in the 60s and 70s is they can't wrap their mind around the concept that someone else will be more anti-war than them.
Yeah.
And that they have turned into their parents, whose generation they hated in the 1960s and 70s. That's what it is. And they just can't figure it out. It's like Dion Cole has this awesome bit where his friend told him a joke, but it didn't register because he's like, I'm the comedian. I'm the funny one.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, you're not the progressive. You're not the anti-war person. I am because I'm from the 60s.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's one of the many problems with Hillary.
Well, and I think that's a common problem to a lot of people. I think it's sort of a natural thing as you get older, but she's, as a communicator, as a politician, she is supposed to be better in that. And telling them that they don't know what they're talking about, they're not talking about Middle Eastern history. That is not fundamentally what it's about. They don't want the civilians to be killed. Like, yeah, my biggest problem with the people who protested the Vietnam War was that they didn't know enough about Vietnamese history. What are you talking about? That has nothing to do with it. No, seriously, like it's, there are petroleum engineers in this world. But I would state that you don't need to be a petroleum engineer to think that maybe us producing and using less oil would be better for the environment. You don't need to necessarily know everything about how guns are manufactured to want less kids to be shot with them. Value, I think knowledge is great. I love expertise. I was a grad student myself. But you don't need to go to graduate school to have values and act on them, okay? Values are worthwhile too. And it's never productive to try to undercut a principled stand with an assertion of lack of knowledge, okay? Like when someone is saying that kids are being shot and then someone online will be like, oh, well, AR-15, the AR doesn't stand for assault rifle. Who the hell cares? I know it's Armalite rifle, I know that. And most people saying that it's assault rifle are joking. But regardless, it has nothing to do with having a problem with kids being gunned down. It is totally tangential to the point. And that's the sort of BS, I will say, that we see on Twitter on a daily basis. One would think Hillary Clinton would be more nuanced, more capable, better at communicating than some randos arguing in the replies to a tweet. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.